is beautiful. The things you see, what a fantastic sight. Well, here we are again in my special place, or one of my special places. In the youthful flourish of spring in the Nidd Valley, in the Yorkshire Dales. Just taking this parallel road to the river down there. Aye, Nidderdale, the valley through which flows the river Nidd. And what a perfect bike to be on once again. Little Norman here, and he is very much at home in this environment, let me tell you. And from my perspective, there are very few things in life to match this experience. And it's a very, very simple experience. It's the quintessential English countryside on a quintessentially English heritage bike, albeit made in India, but oozing vintage Britishness from every single pore. And it's almost like it's a pastiche, isn't it, this? Riding through this valley on this bike with just the effortless ticking over of this single cylinder air-cooled engine. What more could you want? Right, I'm back there at the car park in Pateley Bridge, and there were quite a few bikes there, and they were all what you would call high-end premium performance motorcycles, and all pretty new. There was a KTM 1290 Duke, a BMW S1000 XR next to me. There were GS's. There was a Ducati, high-end Ducati. I don't think there was a bike there that you could touch for much under £20,000. And I'm willing to bet that the enjoyment I get from this simple little motorcycle in this environment is easily, if not more than, the measure of theirs on those powerful bikes. And I'll just shut up for a while and let you soak in this scenery, and then we'll stop and have a little talk about why I love this bike so much, and why for me it represents the pinnacle of the motorcycling experience. So I'll speak to you in a bit. So here I am, high up in the Nidd Valley, just outside of Scarhouse and Angram reservoirs, and it's a pretty special place at this. And of course I've alluded to that fact many times on the channel. There are sort of a handful of places here in the Yorkshire Dales that for some undefinable reason, not something that's easily qualified or quantified, are a very, very special experience indeed. And how much of that is rooted in the landscape or prevailing mood or historical context is probably neither here nor there. There are just some places which speak to you on some higher plane. And I'm sure when I get my lunch out shortly, I'll be joined by even more of these lovely little colourful chaffinches that you can't quite see yet, but they'll be here aplenty, I guarantee. So what is it I love about this bike? Well, I've had so many bikes down the years. Many of those have been the sort of ubiquitous, high-powered, large touring machines, sports tourers, adventure bikes, things of that nature. But of all those bikes, and there must have been well over 20, 25 of them, the one that delivers more pleasure, or the most pleasure, pound for pound, if you like, is this little Royal Enfield Classic 350. You know, and people ask me sometimes, what is it about the bike that you find so appealing and so engaging? And I can't really put my finger on it. I mean, for one thing, they're so easy. There always seems to be so much faffage and dither and bother sometimes associated with getting bigger bikes out of the garage and getting them all prepped up for a ride. And that sometimes in and of itself can sort of apply a bit of inertia to your movements when it comes to getting out and about. But it's just so easy with this bike. It just makes the whole riding experience, even just the preparatory phases of getting out for a ride, just makes it so much easier. Hassle-free, no concerns, no worries, minimal planning. It's just great. And I mean, the bike is so fundamentally at home in this environment. It's almost as if the engine is performing to the score, which is the landscape. And it might only be 20 brake horsepower, single cylinder, air-cooled thumper. But by God, I've ridden so many bikes along this route over the years, and none of them deliver what this bike delivers. And it's for that reason that it's my go-to machine. Every time. Just so easy to get on with. Like an old friend. Old pair of slippers. And this is the thing to do and the place to come when you want to get away from the mad world. Far from the madding crowd, and it's never far enough. But to be able to do so on this little beauty just means everything. And what a value for money experience as well, if nothing else. I mean, this bike returning over 100 miles per gallon, costing less than £4,000 new in a lot of cases, having very modest running costs in terms of the insurance. I think probably about 70 quid a year for me, this bike, to insure. And maintenance very straightforward indeed. So an absolutely perfect bike if you want a hassle-free motorcycle owning and using experience. It's as good as it gets. And the build quality now on these bikes from the Royal Enfield stable is right up there. There might have been a time quite a few years ago now where you, with some justification, might have called into question the standards of fit and finish to what Royal Enfield was turning out. But under the stewardship of Sir Arthur Lal, and in recent years, most notably since the arrival of the Interceptor, these Royal Enfield bikes have come on leaps and bounds. And if you are minded to get yourself a modern classic and to enjoy the experience that I'm enjoying now, which is absolutely elemental, then give this bike a try. Because he's a little cracker, he's Norman, aren't you? I've got some Mitas 50/50 tyres on this bike now, so that just lets me sort of ride to places like this over the grass and gravel with complete confidence. And yeah, he's lapping it up, and so am I. What more can you ask from life? Yeah, much more rewarding bikes like this than the big high-performance premium machines. See, the trouble with those machines is you often end up, after a period of time, after an initial honeymoon period, of being plagued by disappointment. Because usually bikes like that fail on their own terms. Because they fail to meet expectations. And the bar's always set really high when you've forked out 15, 20 grand for a bike. You know, the bar's set pretty high when it comes to expectations, and rightly so. You don't have that problem with this bike. The beauty of it is it never ever disappoints, because your level of expectation is not ridiculously high. What you see is what you get, and you don't expect to get any more than what you see, and that all adds to the enjoyment of it all. There is no experience to beat coming out on a sunny spring day in the English countryside on a Royal Enfield Classic 350. There we go, folks. The Nidd Valley in the heart of the Yorkshire Dales. In springtime. The season of eternal hope and growth, and the coming alive of the landscape. Absolutely stunning. Don't take my word for it. Get yourself up here. Preferably on a Royal Enfield Classic 350. Other makes of modern classic are available, of course. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Just had to share this with you. So if you're not local to the Dales and you ever find yourself in the Yorkshire Dales, one of the places you must come to is Scarhouse Reservoir. And from the top of the spillway here at Scarhouse, you get just about the best view that you're ever going to get of Nidderdale. As good as any drone shot, eh? Well, I hope that was of some interest to you. Oh, just give you a look at Scarhouse here. That's the reservoir. Just a magical place, even though it is bisected by a relatively modern example of human intervention in the landscape, albeit an essential one. This was all built in the 1920s and 30s by Bradford City Waterworks. Magnificent. Aye, so I hope you enjoyed that fairly non-thematic ride out into the Nid Valley. And if you're going to do it, well, you can do it on any motorcycle. Got to do it on a motorcycle though. But if you can, do it on a modern classic. Because I said earlier, it's almost like a set piece. Riding up here on these narrow country switchbacks, it's almost like a pastiche, a set piece from a 1950s or 60s film. Makes you feel really, really special. And other than that, I can't really put into any meaningful form of words why it strikes such a resonance with me. But I'm not the only one. And those of you out there, and I know there are plenty of you that ride the Royal Enfields, and in particular the Classic 350, I know that for the large part you feel exactly the same. It's been a great privilege to meet many of you out there on the road and to be able to exchange experiences on that wonderful little bike. So, once again, from the heart of the Yorkshire Dales, until next time, and in the meantime, ride safe, be kind, and I'll see thee.